You ever get that feeling that you're just playing a part? Like you're an actor in a play you never even auditioned for? Well, it turns out that's kind of true. Our lives are run by these hidden scripts, these unwritten rules that shape everything from how we fall in love to how we fight wars. We almost never see them. But today we're gonna pull back that curtain. Yeah, I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But the answer is actually fascinating. It connects all these seemingly random worlds because they're all governed by these powerful, invisible scripts that define how we communicate, what we desire, and who's in control. So, here's what we're going to do in this explainer. We'll start by decoding the unspoken rules of attraction. Then, we'll look at how our culture literally writes our communication style for us. After that, we'll explore what happens when you make those rules brutally explicit. And finally, we're going to scale this whole idea up to a full-blown state of war. Trust me, by the end of this, you might just see your own life a little differently. All right, first up, let's tackle one of the most common scripts we all have to deal with, that subtle and, let's be honest, often super confusing dance of attraction. Our first source makes this great point that in dating, real power isn't about being bossy or controlling. It's about being able to read the script, understanding those implicit rules. The person who can read the energy and then act with confidence is the one who ends up leading the whole interaction. It's a kind of social intelligence, really. So what does this social power actually look like? Well, it boils down to a mix of 5 key things. It kicks off with confidence and taking initiative, but it's also about having the courage to be emotionally vulnerable. Then you add in paying attention to the little details, keeping things playful and creative. And finally, you gotta master both what you say and what your body language is saying. So if you take one thing away from this, it's decisiveness. This idea of leading the dance without being a jerk about it is a huge theme. It's all about acting with purpose and getting rid of any doubt. And hey, remember that phrase, dares to lead? Because you're gonna hear a version of that pop up again in a very different situation. Okay, next up, let's shift gears and see how these scripts aren't just about social dynamics, but how they're literally written by our culture. You've probably heard about the 5 official love languages, right? But what if the way you grew up taught you a totally different one? Comedian Jimmy O. Yang just breaks this down perfectly when he talks about the communication script he learned from his own mother. I mean, it's hilarious, but there's so much truth in it. He's describing a way of communicating where showing you care actually means scaring the heck out of someone with warnings. The whole script is designed to make sure you're safe and obedient, even if it sounds completely backwards to anyone on the outside. And this right here just lays out the contrast perfectly. On one side, you have your classic words of affirmation. And on the other, you've got a love language where telling someone they'll literally die if they sleep with wet hair is considered a profound act of love. See? They're both scripts for how to communicate, they just come from completely different playbooks. So we've looked at the hidden rules, the ones that are just kind of there. But what happens when you take that script of power and make every single line completely explicit? This question takes us into a world where there's no room for guessing games, where everything is written down. Our next source actually looks at BDSM relationships, which is where those unspoken rules we saw in dating get thrown out and replaced by a formal, consensual contract. The main idea here is something called a power exchange. Really, it's just a formalized version of the same power dynamics we've been talking about this whole time. But the key difference is that instead of being implied, the rules are spelled out, they're negotiated, and everybody involved agrees to them up front. And what's wild is that these explicit rules aren't just random. Every single one has a specific job. A position like present might just be for efficiency, to save time. Expose is all about boosting intimacy. Submit is there to reinforce the authority structure. And wait even has a practical use in public. Every little detail is a deliberate part of the script. Okay, now we're going to take this whole idea of explicit scripts and crank it up to its most extreme conclusion, where following the rules isn't just about a relationship anymore, it's about life and death. When you're in a military operation, there is absolutely zero room for misinterpretation. You have to have a clear, explicit script. And as strange as this might sound, the world of the Transformers movies is actually a perfect, high-stakes example of this very principle. Just listen to how that sounds. It's precise. It's decisive. There's no room for doubt. It's a command. That is the ultimate expression of that same initiative and certainty that we first talked about way back in the dating advice. And this is the thread that connects everything. It doesn't matter if you're leading the dance on a first date or commanding an elite military unit. The core principle is exactly the same. Take charge, get rid of all the ambiguity, and execute a clear plan. The entire operation is basically a masterclass in how to write a script. You've got your classified team, Nest. They're operating with clear cover stories, like a toxic spill. The commands are razor sharp, the rules for alliances are set in stone, and the chain of command is unbreakable. Every single piece is designed to create maximum efficiency and minimum chaos when the stakes are, apocalyptic. So, after bouncing from attraction to comedy to BDSM and all the way to giant robot warfare, what's the big takeaway from all this? The whole point is this: these patterns are everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's unspoken social cues, cultural habits we grew up with, contracts we negotiate, or life or death military protocols. We are all, always, operating inside of a script. And this is why it really matters. This isn't just some interesting idea, it's a tool. Because once you can see the script, you stop being just an actor reading lines someone else wrote. You can finally understand why that meeting went so badly, or why you keep having the same argument over and over. You can navigate the rules with intention. And this is the most important part, you can start to decide which rules actually work for you, and which ones you might want to rewrite. Knowing the script, that's real power. And this quote from Optimus Prime, of all characters, just sums it all up perfectly. We don't always get to choose the situations we find ourselves in, but being aware of the scripts that are in play, the unspoken rules, the power dynamics, the ways people communicate, that's what gets you ready to act decisively when the moment finally comes. So, I'll leave you with this. Take a look at your own life, your job, your friendships, your family. What are the unspoken rules that are secretly running the show? Because recognizing that script, well, that's the first step. The real question is, what are you going to do about it?